Awesome. Hi, everybody. It's Leah from Running USA, and I am back again with another one of our fabulous 5 questions series. Today, I am speaking with Trisha Drobeck from Run Wild Missoula and the Missoula Marathon. Trisha, welcome. It's great to see you. Let's chat first and foremost a little bit about you. Tell us about yourself and how you ended up in your current role as the executive director, both of the Run Club and race director of the marathon.
I was a journalism major in college. I never ran. I was actually like more of a soccer player and downhill skier. And after I graduated college, my friend asked me she's like, "Hey, you want to run a marathon?" And I'm like, "Sure." What's a marathon? I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But I got Hal Higdon's book, Marathon, and I trained on his beginner training plan, and I was able to finish the Portland Marathon many decades ago. And a love affair was born. I just fell in love with running and all of that. And eventually, I went into sales and I worked at the same company for 15 years and became a sales manager, corporate sales. And then COVID hit, social justice issues like George Floyd hit, and I found myself at home with 2 small children trying to work from home. And my priorities completely changed. And I just asked myself, what am I doing? Who am I making this money for? And our beloved my predecessor, Tony Banovich, passed away in October. And I would say about 6 to 8 months later, his job was available. And I told my husband, I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change and make this big change for our family. And then I got the job. So here I am.
Awesome. I'm going to call you out about this in a minute, but you were actually a pretty competitive runner, so I don't want to let that go by the wayside.
Sure,
But
sure.
first and foremost, so Run Wild Missoula is truly a nonprofit organization. It's a running club, first and foremost. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? Tell us about how it focuses you as an organization and kind of influences both your personal mission and then the mission of the club.
Yeah. Um, so we are definitely a mission-driven organization, and that mission is to support and encourage running and walking of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds. Run Wild has been around since 2006. It was became an official 501(c)(3). And I would say after I took the reins about 4 years ago, myself and then our board really wanted to, we still offer all the running things, Tuesday track, we have lots of group meetups and all the stuff, but we really wanted to become a more broader community organization. And now we are seen in our community as this kind of organization that not only believes in health and wellness and social and running and putting on great events, but we also give heavily back to our community, and we really give back to marginalized, traditionally marginalized or strategically marginalized groups, and we allow them to use our platform, which is a lot bigger, to promote their own mission or what they're up to. We have just over 2,200 members, which makes us one of the biggest running clubs in the Northwest, which is kind of crazy coming from a town that has 70 or 80,000 people. So everyone in this town runs, which is kind of amazing. But yeah, we really are deeply embedded in our community here in Missoula. And it's just been so incredible to make that happen and really get to know all these other little pockets of communities throughout the area.
That's awesome. And I know you were a member of the club, and both a pretty competitive racer before you ended up in this job. So
Yes.
talk a little bit about having lived that experience as a participant. Like, how does that influence you when you're putting on the race and, you know, that sort of thing?
So as I mentioned, like I immediately fell in love with the marathon, and I guess it's just ingrained in my competitive and type A nature. But I I would say so. I started running in my early 20s, and by the time I was in my late 20s, I was finding myself near the front, finishing near the front of races. Um, and I think this is, I feel like my story isn't that uncommon. That something about women, we just don't naturally like drive ourselves to like race as hard as we can, or go out at a 4 minute mile, like perhaps maybe the men will a little bit, which I'm sure we've all seen at our local 5Ks. So I started training and reading about running, and I bought a Garmin watch and doing all this stuff, and I got pretty close to breaking 3 hours. And then my husband, who was a professional triathlete at the time, had a coach, and I ended up working with this coach as well. And I was able to run myself all the way into the 2016 Olympic trials in LA, the hot year, LA hot year, which was just amazing. It was the best experience ever. I ran for Wazelle, which was an amazing team, an amazing group of women. And yeah, and for Missoula Marathon titles, I think I've run 30, 35 marathons in my career. And a Boston, I got to be in the Boston elite women's start. I'm like, I will be your warm body to stand next to Des and Shalane. But yeah, so I really got some great experiences from that. But I also, because I've run so many marathons, I would say I've seen what not to do. I've seen really terrible races, really unorganized, bad, all of the things. So when I think about runners' experiences for all of our events, I really think things through start to finish. I use a lot of visualization and like pretend I'm the participant, and how would this feel to me, whether that's bib check-in or finish line experience or post-race food, whatever it is. So I feel I can definitely put myself in the spot of the participant, and hopefully realize what should happen as opposed to what could go wrong.
Awesome. I love that. I think that makes so much sense and can definitely relate to it on so many levels. So, that being said, let's turn the focus to the event itself. And from hearing from you and from people who've run the Missoula Marathon, I know that it's not just a race, it's really a true celebration of community. So, tell us a little bit about that. How does the race kind of embody Missoula, and what do you do that's really special and unique?
Well, we have a beautiful course. It's probably not the most beautiful, but it is beautiful. You get to start out in the next town over, which is Frenchtown, and then you run kind of through the country and through like a forest. You cross 3 rivers, actually cross 2 rivers, one river twice and another river, and then you end up finishing on the bridge in downtown Missoula. Um, which is an amazing, funky place to be. I feel like all the rumors about Missoula are true. It's a great town, and yeah. But honestly, I think we have a couple things that stand out. One, our expo is outdoors, right on the river in Caris Park. It's not in a stuffy convention center without windows or anything. You're literally like looking at the river. There's one of those man-made surfing waves, so you can pick up your bib while you're watching surfing. We got a DJ playing, and then we're right next to the farmers market on Saturday, so there's like hundreds of vendors selling fresh produce and treats and coffee and funky art and stuff, so you really get like immersed in the Missoula vibe. And then I do have to say that, we get a lot of feedback, whether it's on like Marathon Guide or Race Raves or whatever. And honestly, the thing most people comment about is how nice the people in Missoula are and how wonderful they were. And like, people come out for this event. It's they post up on their lawn and lawn chairs, and whether they're giving shots of Fireball or high fives or some water, like they just embrace it, and they're happy to have all of these strangers from all over the world come into our little community and celebrate them. We have, I think, 800 volunteer spots, or maybe even more now, and they fill up, and people want to help out, and it's just so, so great to see. And it's a really unique place here and a unique experience. And we don't often get, negative feedback ever on how wonderful the people are in Missoula.
Well, you sold me. That was a I want to go
Good.
to their
See
moment.
you in
Like
June.
absolutely. Sign me up. I did want to call out that you were one of the earlier events to add a non-binary category to your awards, and you also have a really strong gender inclusion statement, which is for the race and for the Run Club as well. Talk to us a little bit about why those policies were important to you and what they
Yeah.
mean both for the event and your participants.
Yeah. So Montana traditionally is a red state, or currently, I should say, we're a very red state. And our lawmakers here have made it their, I don't know if it's their mission, but they've certainly made a point to call out trans, non-binary, queer folk and just try to make laws against them just living their life. Missoula, on the other hand, we call ourselves the Blue Island, which isn't very uncommon from other red states. We have an extremely vibrant and amazing queer community here. We have a lovely Pride celebration. This year, it's actually the week prior to the marathon in June, and we share a lot of postering and things with them. We also have a lot of runners from that community that participate. So to me, it was, and to our board, it was kind of making that statement in a policy type of way. So yeah, we're going to have a non-binary category. Yeah, we're going to have equal prize money for non-binary participants, and we're going to try to set the example of what's possible. And just we welcome everyone as you are with open arms. And it wasn't a hard decision at all to make. And it was the time, and it was the right thing to do. And we get some pushback here and there, but it is what it is. And I'm very proud of Run Wild, the marathon, and our community, and that we can embrace our queer community. They have the very last aid station is the Pride aid station, and put on by the center, our local LGBTQ center, and it's the best one. So yeah, that's about it for that.
That's awesome. And I know that you've been really open about sharing kind of your experience with that with other race directors across the country and presented on it at our conference a couple years ago. So thank you for doing that work. I think
Yeah,
it's really important.
thank you.
You mentioned Tony earlier, and of course, I can't let you go without speaking just a little bit about him. It'll be 5 years this fall that we lost him. I'll always remember Tony because he was just so determined in getting the word out about Missoula, about the race, about the run club. And he used to come to conference and hand everybody coasters and postcards and pins and all sorts of
Yeah.
cool swag. So I just wanted to ask what his legacy looks like there today. If you could share a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was quite shocking when Tony passed. I don't think anybody was ready for that. He was an incredible guy. He'd probably be so mad at me for talking so positively about him. We really like to rib each other a lot. I called him an old man a lot and told him he couldn't keep up with me. But he was a big supporter of my career, and I'll never forget giving him a big hug he was on the sidelines at the Olympic trials. So we've done a few things in Tony's honor. The very first thing we did was start the Tony Banovich Memorial Fund, and have been fundraising for that. And those the funds from that go to things that we think Tony would have appreciated. So one of the things that I first did was start the Tony Banovich High School. It's the longest name ever. Tony Banovich High School Cross Country Scholarship. So is what we do is every August before cross country season starts, the local kind of surrounding area, Missoula County high schools, the kids going into freshmen through senior year, they can apply for a scholarship, which includes free shoes. You get in 3 of our races and a bunch of swag. So just kind of a jumping off point, because we all know like running shoes are $200, and that's a lot for some families and for kids. And there isn't any like screening or anything. You just apply and you get it. And the last couple of years, we've been able to give about 40 a year. So it's about $10,000 a year in scholarships. So that is just a great program. Tony was the Plains High School cross country coach, and he just thought cross country was this like gateway drug into lifelong running. Jumping off point's probably a better way to say that. And then the marathon committee and I also voted to rename our 5K as part of our marathon weekend, so it's now the Tony Banovich 5K. And then just this last summer, so the M Trail is like the most famous trail in Missoula. Bunch of switchbacks up to this giant M, just in case we forgot where we were, that we're in Montana. And we installed a bench up there at the top of the M in Tony's honor. And we're going to do some stuff this summer to kind of dedicate that bench to him.
That's awesome. I love hearing about all of that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so cool to learn a little bit more about you and about Missoula and about the running community there. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with today?
Oh man, I mean, just other than the marathon, we have about 15 events throughout the year that we do, including we just started one a couple years ago, a 50K, and now this year we're adding a 25K trail race that starts and finishes right in the heart of the city with less than 2 miles of pavement. So that's become another signature race of ours, kind of in that trail running realm, because we do have a lot of trail runners here. And I just welcome anybody. Come see me any time of year. But if you really want to come to the marathon, I'd be happy to, invite whoever out. Come, let's hang out. Let's party.
Sounds awesome. Thank you so much, Trisha.
Yeah, you bet.
Bye.